Hey guys, welcome to my bedroom. I think this is going to be our new thing. Anyway, this week we're going to be talking about fiction formulas and shaking them up. And you're probably wondering, what exactly am I talking about here? Fiction formulas. The best way I can describe a fiction formula is that it's a literary blueprint for your story. It's pretty easy, right? It's the story's recipe. You can see it in a lot of different genres, mostly the more popular genres, because they're easier to pinpoint. All right? You got your mysteries, your romance, that is a huge one, and fantasy. There are a lot of offshooting ones as well, but I will talk about those in next week's video. That's right, I already have next week's video planned out. Ha! I even have it outlined on my computer. Next week's video, I'm going to actually talk about different types of formulas and elaborate a little more. This week, though, it's just about this. So that's a fiction formula. Going back to the very beginning here. Sorry about that. A fiction formula is basically the recipe blueprint of a story. Alright? And, but it's great because has a dual purpose here. Fiction formulas have dual purposes and you should use them as a writer. Okay? Their first purpose for a fiction formula is marketing. Marketing is a huge reason to have fiction formulas because it helps the publishers know what to use to entice readers. It's what stores will know to where to put the books, and it's where book bloggers and readers know how to say, hey, this book you'll love because it is this such and such romance or mystery or fantasy. Right? Marketing, huge reason. Another big reason to use fiction formulas and to understand them has to be readers. I mean, that's the whole reason why we write books, right? I mean, that and also you like to kill people, but you want to do it in a legal way. Anyways, readers are the main reason we write. And readers like to relate. They don't like to go into something and be completely confused. I'm sorry, at least I don't as a reader. I like to know before I even step inside that swimming pool that that swimming pool is going to have warm water. Or at least lukewarm water and not pee. You know? I want to know that it's what I'm actually stepping into. It's that simple. I don't want to be stepping into a pool and find out that it's muddy water. No. And it's the same thing with a book. You don't want to really get into a book thinking that it is a romance when it turns out that it's not a romance. Oh no, it's something totally different. It's a horror. Like an outright horror. Not horror. I know. Haha. Anyway. So, it helps the readers relate to the work, relate to the reader, to the authors, and it's a good baseline in your fiction. Now, here's where we're going to get into the nitty-gritty. I'm only going to touch a little bit on these formulas. I'll explain them better in next week's video. Here are the different types of formulas. The biggest one, and this one was actually, I believe, Joseph Campbell, who is a mythologist, a folklorist, I think. Boop, boop, boop. It's been a long time since I've done that class. Anyway, I think it's Joseph Campbell. I'll have to look it up now. Hold on. We're going to do that right now. So I was right. It is Joseph Campbell. Yay me. He was an American professor who also did a lot of mythology and stories and tied them all together to find what he considered a monomyth. I might actually do a video about him because he's kind of interesting. What's great about him is that he kind of coined the term the hero's journey. And you know the hero's journey. Even if you don't think you do, you do. Because the hero's journey is the basis formula of like fantasy books out there. All the fantasy books, practically. Harry Potter, hero's journey. Star Wars, hero's journey. Game of Thrones. No? Yes? Depending on who you're reading it? I may have to go through that and find out. Anyway, the hero's journey. You know it. Then there's also the romance formula, which that's kind of self-explanatory. I mean, just think of all the romance books you know, and then you kind of know what it is. Then there's the mystery formula, which has a lot of different things. Mystery is like an umbrella formula with little tiny tendrils going around. Maybe it's an octopus genre with tentacles. That would be cool. Anyway, so there's the mystery. Then there is young adult, and then and by young adult I mean young adult. And then young adult have other little baby umbrellas. And they have baby squids going around, or jellyfish, or what. I don't know what I'm talking about. It's just another huge umbrella term, and then little genres sprinkled in. Now, formulas they're important. Authors use them when they're writing. And I can tell you a few times when I'm talking to my friends about my own writing, and I'll go, oh, this sounds like this. It's the exact same thing. Newsflash, it is. I hate to break it to you. If you're using a formula, which I kind of feel like you should be, you are actually doing the same exact thing. That's what this video is about, though, is shaking things up. So with an author who uses a fiction formula, it helps you establish a fan base, because this is the fan who knows this work and will be drawn into it because of the formula. However, there is a downside to that. You can fall into the formula. Basically, you can be so invested in your formula that you yourself have made a formula for your writing. A good example would be a romance author who has written a story about a young man and woman in Southern America. Let's say, I don't know, the Outer Banks. All right? One character happens to have cancer, or Alzheimer's, or maybe a minor character had cancer and died, or Alzheimer's. And these two main characters have to go through their own inner struggle and their conflict, the outside conflicts that are preventing them from being together. And in the end, it's a romance, but there's something tragic all the time. Think about that, what I've just said, and I'm pretty sure you can find a singular author who has done something to that effect in almost every single one of their books. That's a problem. I don't say that it doesn't work, because it definitely works, but it can become a problem because you could kind of get mocked at, like I just kind of done. And it kind of sounds like it could be boring.